From MTN News, this is Montana This Morning.
Good Wednesday morning at 6 o'clock. Welcome to Montana This Morning. I'm Victoria Hill. Thank you so much for getting your day started with us. And good morning to Miller over in the Weather Center with a look at our Wednesday forecast after yesterday's cooler, rainy day.
It was, and that's springtime here in Montana. And today, going to be gorgeous. Not so much tomorrow. Friday, going to be gorgeous. Not so much Saturday night into weekend into Sunday. It's a roller coaster ride, folks, but we wouldn't expect anything less here in Montana and northern Wyoming. Not a bad start this morning. It's chilly out there. 37 right now at the airport. Feels like 27. Humidity near 80%. Dew points at 31. Winds out of the southwest at about 18 miles an hour. Gust up to about 26 miles an hour. Let's go ahead and take a look at the numbers yesterday. We only got up to about 44, so well below average where we should be for this time of the season. We're going to be above that as we go along today, as that downslope flow is going to warm us up nicely. We're talking maybe some 70s in spots today, folks. Here's some big news. Precipitation yesterday, just over 1/10 of an inch. We could always use that as we're pacing behind for the month and for the year. Not going to see any rain today. Good chance we're going to see some rain Thursday and also again as we get into Saturday, but we'll tell you more about that with the main forecast coming up. Quickly, some temperatures around the horn right now. Aberdeen Hill at 31 as well as Crow Agency. Hardin at 28, down to Sheridan we're at 31. By the way, Hardin down to Sheridan, you may actually have a chance to see some patchy fog this morning, just FYI. Big Timber at 36, Livingston at 41. Highs today mainly in the 60s, but check this out. Roundup trying to get up to 70, maybe even some 70s in the northeast corner of Montana this afternoon. Enjoy it for at least one day before we cool right back down and we see more of the oogie weather coming into the forecast. Our high here in Billings today up to 67. Lots of sunshine to get us there. It's going to be a very nice day on this no housework day.
Is there a household chore that you don't look forward to so much?
I don't like doing dishes.
The dishes. Okay.
Or scooping out the kitty litter.
Yeah.
Oh, and we got 3 cats.
Oh yeah, that's a lot of scooping.
How many cats you have?
2.
Let me ask you a question, and any other cat owners out there. Is it just my cats or do your cats do the same? As soon as I work really hard on cleaning out the litter box and I put fresh litter in, 10 seconds later, boom, they're in there and they're going to town.
I think they're under the impression that we enjoy cleaning out the kitty litter box, so they're like, let's fill it up for Dad again, and they get right back in there. But then I also picture them as royalty while I'm cleaning it out. You filthy human, clean out that box. That's what they look like. They're looking down at us when we do it.
Yeah, I have that impression about those cats. You're right about that.
Yeah. All right, you know what's really gross?
Oh, gosh.
It's not too bad,
What?
but it kind of grosses me out. That what catches the gunk and stuff in the kitchen sink.
Yeah.
When you know how that, what is that called? Is it like a trap or something like that?
The little trap in the sink,
little,
that you can,
Yeah, the little stopper. Yeah, cleaning that thing out. Ugh, yeah. Isn't that gross? That's a gross one. That might be one that I actually take advantage of not doing today, Miller. So.
That's why I have 3 daughters for it.
Yeah.
Clean out the gunk, kids.
All right, I'll get on to the news. I
Okay.
can do that too. Thanks. But we start with some positive news as our country gets closer to the finish line of the pandemic. President Joe Biden is moving the deadline, requiring all states to offer all adults COVID vaccines from May 1st to April 19th. About a third of all Americans, or 108 million people, have already received at least 1 dose. 80% of teachers, school staff, and childcare workers are vaccinated. A new poll shows more people are becoming more optimistic about the direction of the pandemic. 35% of people are still afraid of catching COVID-19, but that's down from 49% in February. Here in Montana, the state's First Lady Susan Gianforte has tested positive for COVID-19 just a day after Governor Greg Gianforte tested positive. The First Lady is asymptomatic and is currently isolating with the governor at their home in Bozeman. Governor Gianforte continues to exhibit mild symptoms, including fatigue, but otherwise feels okay. The governor's 25 staff members all received negative results. Governor Gianforte had already received the first round of his COVID-19 vaccine before testing positive. Q's Andrea Lutz has more from health officials on how long it takes for the shot to work.
Right after you get your COVID vaccine, health officials say not so fast.
I think that is part of the confusion, is you think that as soon as you get the shot that you're now protected.
It could take weeks for its effectiveness to take hold.
And it really takes 2 weeks for your body to fully mount an adequate response.
That's because the vaccine needs enough time to provide protection.
So there always are going to be some breakthrough cases after someone has been fully vaccinated.
And Dr. Megan Littlefield with Riverstone Health says on top of that, there's this.
No vaccine is 100% effective. Not just the COVID vaccines, no vaccine is 100% effective.
She says there's one major misconception, though, about vaccines in general to address.
I just want to dispel that myth that if you get the COVID vaccine, it is not going to cause you to get COVID because it is not the actual virus that you're getting exposed to.
So those typical COVID precautions should still be followed. And while it is rare for people to receive both doses and get a positive test, it can happen.
The most important thing is that what these vaccines do is they decrease your risk by a lot by getting infected, and they decrease the severity of the disease if you do contract the virus after you have been immunized.
In Billings, Andrea Lutz, MTN News.
And it is still unknown how long after the vaccine it will offer protection, but research shows the Pfizer vaccine is effective for at least 6 months. A highly contagious COVID-19 variant that first emerged in the United Kingdom has now made its way to every U.S. state. There are more than 15,000 cases of this variant. The CDC says because of this, it's still very important to continue wearing masks and social distancing. The good news is experts are optimistic and say the vaccines we have are effective in combating variants. And the United States Army has developed its own COVID-19 vaccine. Army officials say it will start testing it on adult volunteers at a facility outside of Washington, D.C. Doctors will test to make sure it is safe and effective. If the data is positive, it is likely the Army will work with a drug company to continue testing and developing the vaccine. And now to the latest on the 67th legislative session. The marathon marijuana debate continues. The Montana House advanced 3 bills that provide different visions on how to implement recreational marijuana in the state. MTN's Jonathan Ambarian tells us why legislative leaders asked members to keep all of the bills alive.
On Tuesday afternoon, House Bills 701, 670, and 707 all came up for debate on the House floor, and it now appears all 3 are going to keep moving forward. During a party caucus before the floor action, leaders of the majority Republicans said it was best to keep all options open while they consider possible amendments and keep taking input.
This is far from over, so the Senate's going to have a couple weeks, then most likely we're going to be in a conference committee with this as well. So don't look at these as final products. So these are vessels and ideas moving, and we need to keep them moving so that everyone's idea has a seat at the table.
HB 701, sponsored by Representative Mike Hopkins, a Republican from Missoula, passed 59 to 41. It would require counties to opt in to allowing marijuana businesses and send some of the tax revenue to Governor Greg Gianforte's Heart Fund account for mental health and substance abuse treatment. Lawmakers considered 30 amendments to the bill and adopted 16, including removing a proposal to allow a local option tax on marijuana sales.
The job that was set before us was delivering to the people of Montana a controlled, safe, responsible system for the implementation of adult use marijuana here in the state of Montana, and I think that by the time that we walk out of these doors, we will have fulfilled that requirement.
670 and 707 both passed 67 to 33 on near party line votes. 670 from Republican Representative Derek Skies of Kalispell would use tax revenue to set up a trust fund to address negative impacts of marijuana use.
Montana makes money from the use of marijuana, and we use it specifically to deal with the hundreds of problems we're going to get.
707 from Representative Brad Cheetah, a Missoula Republican, would set up a 3-tiered system with growers selling to wholesalers who would sell to dispensaries.
It would cut down a lot of work for the Department of Revenue. They'd have fewer businesses that they would have to inspect, and we would hopefully tamp down the illicit market a little bit.
Democrats say they voted against all 3 bills because they made too many changes to Initiative 190, the legalization measure voters approved last year.
And the truth is that we could put the entire initiative in the trash can if we wanted to, but I just don't think we should.
The three bills will go before the House Appropriations Committee on Wednesday, and then if approved, to a final vote on the House floor on Thursday. After that, it will be up to the Senate to make the next move. In Helena, Jonathan Amberian, MTN News.
Jonathan also tells us these bills all need to pass through the House by Thursday in order to stay alive. Yesterday, the state Senate advanced a bill encouraging the state's largest electric utility to buy a bigger share of the Colstrip power plants. Lawmakers voted 30-20 to endorse the bill, with all Senate Democrats and one Republican opposed. The bill spells out how state regulators can allow Northwestern Energy to charge customers for any cost of additional coal-fired power from the plants. Opponents of the bill called it a blank check for Northwestern, allowing them to pass on the cost of Colstrip even if cheaper alternatives are available. Supporters say consumers need the Colstrip power, and the bill will help prolong the life of the plants. Senate Bill 379 faces one more Senate vote before advancing to the House. One of the biggest issues lawmakers are trying to address is the lack of affordable housing. Rent and home prices continue to spiral upward across much of the state, making it difficult for many to pay the bills. MTN's Mike Dennison looks at how lawmakers are trying to tackle the problem.
Kyla Tingdon and her husband Rolf recently bought a house in Bozeman, but it was affordable only because of inclusionary zoning, a local program that requires any new development to include some lower cost homes.
Getting this house was life-changing for us. We were both able to really feel like we had stable ground to stand on in order to pursue our careers, lean into developing our lives here and becoming part of the community.
But Republicans at the 2021 legislature have passed a bill to end this type of zoning anywhere in Montana. Home builders say the zoning unfairly puts the onus on them to solve the housing crisis.
Inclusionary zoning in Bozeman, as it's written, forces me to raise prices on other homes to subsidize the house that is being classified as affordable. If we have an affordability issue, we need a community solution.
Yet cities, counties, and housing advocates say it's one tool they'd like to keep. Jeff Mihalik is the city manager for Bozeman, where the average home price is now topping $600,000.
We've actually been able to construct 27 homes. We've been actually used cash to incentivize the construction of another 30. It's been very effective for us.
In Whitefish, local business leaders led the effort to enact inclusionary zoning because they say the high cost of housing is making it hard to attract employees.
I don't think you would see legislation trying to block this type of program if they weren't afraid it would work here in Whitefish and be adopted by other communities.
Gartland says local officials are asking Republican Governor Greg Gianforte to veto the bill, which cleared the legislature on party line votes with Republicans in favor. Gianforte says only that he'll examine the bill once it reaches his desk. Republican lawmakers say zoning restrictions are part of the problem when it comes to the housing crisis.
What we've seen going on here lately is that control is getting more onerous, and we've been drawing back some of that local control just because it's not only delaying the process, it's adding cost to new construction.
Hertz sponsored a bill to ease local restrictions on accessory dwelling units, which are things like basement apartments. But that bill was killed last week after cities opposed it. Lawmakers also are considering two bills with new tax credits or low-interest loans to aid construction of housing projects for low and moderate income Montanans. Both bills await action in the Senate. Graff, the Bozeman builder, says the problem of affordable housing is complex and that a range of solutions should be looked at to increase the supply of all types of dwellings.
We do not have the supply to meet the demand at today's influx of people moving here. And so if we can increase our supply, I do believe that some economic terms will bring the prices down.
So what are these other proposals that could make it easier to build and help increase that supply? And will they really lead to more affordable housing? We look at those questions tomorrow. At the Capitol, Mike Dennison, MTN News.
Lawmakers have just 5 weeks until the scheduled end of the session. Now making national headlines this morning, an active duty sailor opened fire inside a military storage facility in Maryland yesterday morning. He shot and injured 2 fellow sailors before heading to Fort Detrick, where he was shot and killed. Police identified the 38-year-old suspect, but did not give any motive for the shooting. Today, an expert hired by the prosecution will return to the stand in the murder trial of Derek Chauvin. Yesterday, Sergeant Dodie Steiger testified Chauvin had every right to apply some force when George Floyd resisted getting into the police car. He added Chauvin should have stopped once Floyd was on the ground. A use of force instructor for the Minneapolis Police Department also testified that officers are trained to avoid the neck area when possible. Chauvin's attorneys argue the former officer did as he was trained to do over his 19-year career. House lawmakers will soon vote on a proposal to make Washington, D.C. the 51st state. It is expected to pass the House, but does not appear to have the support to pass the Senate. Democrats hold a slim majority in the Senate and would need at least 10 Republicans to vote in favor of the bill for it to pass. The legislation would give D.C. 2 U.S. senators and a representative in the House. The White House, Capitol, and National Mall would remain under federal control. In Helena, over 1,000 blue pinwheels cover the lawn of the state capitol building, meant to bring awareness to child abuse across Montana. In 2020, nearly 33,000 calls were made to the state's child abuse hotline, and almost a third of those required an investigation. State leaders say those numbers need to change. Pinwheels were chosen for the lawn to symbolize hope and happiness for children. You can help bring awareness too. Montanans are encouraged to wear blue throughout the month of April and share pictures on social media using the hashtag #GoBlue.
To be clear, every child deserves a chance to be raised in a healthy, safe, and nurturing environment. And that's what these pinwheels symbolize. All of us here today want this for our children, for Montana's children.
The pinwheels will remain in the Capitol lawn all month long.